What's going on? I got my buddy Ben on today. Dude, what's up, man?
How are you? Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. No, thank you for taking the time. I know we were just chatting 2 seconds ago. It's been a long week already, and it's only Tuesday at the time of the recording, huh?
Exactly. It never ends.
Yeah. So Ben, dude, would you like to introduce yourself? Who it is, who you are, who you help, kind of thing like that?
So my name is Ben LeRose. I'm a chef, owner, and CEO of Fork and Delicious, but I also am a full-time chef on the side. Um, well, actually, main job is being a full-time chef. This is the side hustle, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, my goal is to help people hit their goals fitness-wise and health-wise, but also provide delicious, great food for people. Also, another thing that we do is we bring a chef's table element to private events where you go pay an extreme amount of money for a chef's table at a restaurant, you get a half attention type of day. Um,
Hmm.
we bring that to them and cook in front of them and make it one of those experiences you'll never forget. So, Fork and Delicious is a new brand, but it's growing and people love it. So,
Yeah, I love that. So how'd you get to where you are? How long have you been a chef? What inspired you to start Fork and Delicious? Like, tell me the whole story, dude.
background, I started as a line cook,
Mhm.
and a prep cook and a dishwasher back in the day. Actually, I was a dishwasher at a busboy at my uncle's restaurant, um, in the area, and it kind of spiraled. I didn't know what I really wanted to do for a long period of time, but it was like it's basically just, hey, I was just cooking. You know, um, Thought it was cool. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the go 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 all the time. So altogether now it's been about 15 years, I want to say. I've been in the industry. Chef wise, about 10. Um, it's one of those things that you don't realize you love until it grabs you, and you're just like, holy shit, excuse my language. I love this. So, it kind of just grabs the bull by the horns and tells you this is what you're made to do. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how I started. I've worked for a bunch of notable chefs and big companies.
Hmm.
Um, Most people know me from when I was my time at the Capitol Grill in Stanford, which was a great time. And being from Stanford originally, it was kind of cool to be able to have people that normally wouldn't know what it was come in and try some of this high end food, but also I mean, they get to see a friend and a person that they know operating and running this kind of place.
Mm. Nice. Yeah, so I see that you're community oriented and you love cooking and stuff like that. And so can you share a little bit about the process of becoming a chef? So you just started off as all these different positions and then you just kind of gravitated towards that. You have to do a lot of like what clarifies you as getting into that chef position? Like just experience overall or
So, I mean, to be honest, how it happened was it just kind of happened. I never said, "Hey, I woke up one day and I was like, I want to be a chef." It just was. I love cooking, and it's a family thing. But I lost my train of thought.
how'd you get there is what I
Uh,
was asking.
just kind of growing, learning, and the biggest thing is that once you hit a certain point, just cooking isn't enough. I wanted to learn more of the management side. I wanted to be able to help people grow within the industry. Like, when the new kids came out of culinary school, which I went to culinary school, but I don't think that classifies you as a chef. You can go to culinary school and still be terrible at cooking. Um,
Hmm.
but, watching those kids come out of school, I had actually the girl that runs my Instagram with me. Her name's Kayla. Uh, she came out of culinary school to work for me and my buddy Mike when I lived in Arizona. And nothing gives me more joy than being able to watch somebody grow into a position. So it's more of a leadership and goal oriented behind people. I like to coach people into what I see potential wise. And I've always been really good at reading people and seeing the potential in them when it comes to being in a kitchen because let's be real, either you have it or you don't. Um,
Yeah.
it's the same thing as what we do. We have our own companies. It's either we have it or we don't. The grind, like you said, the side hustle doesn't sleep. So um, being able to do that and grow and build yourself into a chef position is one of the hardest feats in the world. not going to name any names, but I actually got reached out to by one of the six. What is it? Number six out of the top 100 country clubs to run their culinary program recently. Unfortunately, I
Wow.
turned it down, but just not enough time in the day to do that and do this. So, watching that happen is kind of an amazing feat in itself because you work your whole life to get to that point, and when it hits you that it's right in front of you, you're like, I finally did it. It's one of those like joyous feelings where you just don't know how to accept it, and they're coming to you to want you to work for them because they've heard about you.
Yeah, that's got to be cool.
Yeah, so that was kind of one of the things that it was a little bit humbling, but at the same time, I just wanted to tell everybody, but I couldn't.
Yeah, so Fork and Delicious is new brand. How new is it, and what made you feel like, hey, this is exactly what I want to start doing on the side?
So, I mean, I think we've been an actual company for about 2 months now, to be honest. But before that, I was doing meal prep in Arizona. And I actually originally started Fork and Delicious in Arizona at first, and I just didn't have the steam to do it.
Hmm.
I was too busy trying to learn all these things, more management stuff, like basically growing myself as a chef in general. So I didn't think I was ready, so I actually ixnayed it, and once I got back here to Connecticut, I decided it was time. After being around so many, I don't want to say bad management, but not the right kind of leaders that you want to be behind and
Yeah.
supporting. And I know my management style. Most of my cooks still keep in touch with me.
Hmm.
They love working with me. I have one guy who followed me around for like 5 different places within the tri-state area.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he still calls me every day. Hey, can I come work for you? I'm like, well, we haven't gotten there yet, but we will. Um, so growing that and just becoming, I lost my train of thought again.
Just you deciding to kind of get into it, and so what I'm hearing you talk a lot of things. I'm sorry if I'm kind of switching gears,
No, you're fine.
but I've heard you talking about leadership and managerial skills and things like that. And sounds like it's that. I mean, that's obviously attributes of the chef because you are like you're the leader position. Um, and going forward, so part of my coaching program, one of the pillars of it is having a strong social and support system. And I like to use the framework of like the team triangle. So at the base of the triangle is your crew. So those are the people that you're always constantly hanging out with, you're interacting with them left and right.
Yep.
Next tier up is your captains, and those are the ones who support you most. Those are the ones you can kind of count on. And then at the very top of the triangle, I put the coach. So for you in your own situation with your own team triangle, who do you hold up at the top at a coach position? Like, who do you look to as kind of like a mentor or a source of like a role model type of source with maybe with Fork and Delicious or maybe with just cooking in general?
So, I mean, I would have two different coaches in that sense. I want to say for me, culinary wise, one of my coaches that I look up to a lot was, and he's probably gonna watch this, is this guy Mike Beltran out of Arizona. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when I was a chef de cuisine at Ensemble Catering in Arizona for the long period of time I was there, this guy proved to me that anybody, if they really put their mind to it, can do something amazing. Because this guy was working, I believe it was construction with asphalt,
Wow.
and 5 years later, he just decided, like not 5 years later, he was doing it for a long time, but in a 5 year span, he became the executive chef of this catering company. But not only that, he was so dedicated to learning and understanding food. I've never seen someone with a drive like that, and that made me hungrier because I wanted to do that too. When you finally see somebody who actually loves what they do, you want to be better because you want to be able to. I don't want to say I want to beat them, but I want to prove that I can do it better sometimes too.
Yeah, it's
Almost
inspirational.
it's a thing, but one of the things I admired about him was, and this is kind of how my management style switched, because originally I was kind of like a cutthroat chef at one point when I was a sous chef. I thought it was the big man on campus, so I was kind of a little pushy and angry. he taught me that the best way to do it is to actually coach and understand and look at it as people, not as a business.
Mm-hmm.
You treat your people right, they're going to treat you right back. And granted, it took me a long time to figure that out, but once I figured it out, my life has been completely different. I have good terms with all my previous employers, stuff like that. So they see that people want to work with me and be around me, and that helped. Some of my cooks just call me. They don't even call me chef. They just call me coach sometimes. So, um, but then that's culinary wise driven. That's what one of my points were when I actually realized that that's how I changed my leadership style.
Mm-hmm.
Just culinary wise, like professionally, I mean, Massimo Bottura, Jacques Pepin was a big one for me. Marco Pierre White, all these chefs, especially Anthony Bourdain. I have him tattooed on my leg. Can't forget that guy. Those guys, I would have loved to meet, but I can't say that they drive me. They're just like my
Mm-hmm.
goals. That these are the guys that kind of built my culinary mindset. And then in regular life, it's just you know I hold everyone to a higher standard. So my crew, even at my crew point, I'm holding them at the middle most of the time
Mm-hmm.
because I expect if I'm gonna do if I'm willing to get on the line and do your job with you, I expect you to, if I ask you to go and say count how many cans of tomatoes we have, I can trust you to go do that, and do it correctly because we're a team, and everybody is here to do a job, but we're also here to be having each other's backs.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely tell that sense of community is pretty strong with everything that you're kind of talking about. And if I could switch the gears just slightly here, you talked about how Forking Delicious you're providing meal prepping services, and you're also doing like a it's kind of like a catering where like right.
Yeah, so we do meal prep, private events, and catering.
Yep. So where do you see this going in the future? So like
Um,
where do you want to get it to?
I mean, the ultimate goal, I'd like it to lead to it being a freestanding catering company, and I would like to have different umbrellas where
Hmm.
I'd like to have like 3 or 4 brick and mortar restaurants, and then I'd like to take Fork and Delicious catering to almost not a national level, but to certain cities. Like I love the culinary aspect of Dallas. When I lived there and I opened restaurants for one of the companies that I worked for, Dallas was one of the coolest industry places I've ever been for the simple fact that like every night they have like an after hours thing where everybody who gets off of work and works in the culinary industry has a place to go and hang out, eat food, drink, whatever they want to do. Um, to me, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen because I've never seen that before.
Hmm.
The hospitality industry is hurting in general. Um, there's so many open jobs, but people don't know how to treat their employees anymore. So, there's a lot of job jumping. So, what I would like to do is build a culture around Fork and Delicious,
Hmm.
where we are the people that you want to come to work for because we treat you right, but we also understand that this industry is not easy. You know, um, I watch it all the time.
Yeah. So how ideally how does that get done? Because you obviously want to treat staff and everybody to the best that you can, but it will also have to be firm and on point, and you got to hold everyone to a pretty strict standard, right? So how do you balance that?
So, I mean, to me, it's more about like family time, right? So, half of the reasons why chefs go through what they go through and cooks and industry people is divorce. You don't have time with your significant others. So, I mean, I think having enough staff and also having enough staff to cover it, but also giving people the right days that they need, but also holding them accountable for those days that they are there are the
Hmm.
biggest thing. There's a balance, and that's the biggest thing for me is a work life balance. Which, granted, let's be real, we don't really have. Um,
Yeah.
but that's that. Like for example, if I open a restaurant, one of them they would be interchangeable with all the people. So I want them all within the area, and they all end up working with each other, so that they all get used to doing different cuisines, different stuff. But my biggest thing is that we wouldn't be open on holidays.
Hmm.
I'm not a firm believer in you have to be here even more when you're supposed to be their family. Granted, yes, it business wise may not be the best idea sometimes, but for me, it'd be more important for those people to be happy to spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with their family than for me to make $8,000 on a okay night. Um,
So
that could
what do you say about people who don't necessarily have the family? Would that be a situation where you would be bringing them in with you and your own family, or do you keep that like professional, personal life kind of separate in the work world?
so outside of work, um, I have done these things where we all meet up and we go out for a drink or we all go eat.
Hmm.
But that's where I kind of draw a line. I don't like to bring people into my family.
Hmm.
Um, Only for the simple fact that then if something has to happen, that unfortunately in the business world it happens. Uh,
Yeah.
it's not hard to let somebody go, or but there is still that feeling of empathy with people. Like there's a thin line that I don't like to cross, and it's hard to
Hmm.
explain. But I know my boundaries with people because I've been running the ever since I learned how to revamp my leadership skills. I've learned where that line is, um, and it's very thin. Believe me, I've seen people
Yeah.
walk right over that line before. Um, but like for example, like say we're closed on Thanksgiving, um, the day that if we're closed on a Sunday the week before, we'll have like a Sunday Thanksgiving for all of us. And
Ah, I like
if
that.
people want to come, they can come. If not, I'll eat all the turkey. It's fine.
Yeah, I like that. And I like how you prioritizing the personal time for everyone. And I can't speak on your industry because I've never really been a part of it. But I know for myself in the coaching and fitness world, burnout is super frequent.
Oh yeah.
So I would imagine it's. I mean, I remember it being pretty crazy just going through the kitchen back when I was a busboy when I was younger. So if it's anything from there to like the rest of the injury, I imagine it's chaotic, it's crazy, a lot of hours. How do you prevent burnout and stuff? Is that prioritizing that personal time or what?
I wish I could say I get personal time, but I don't really take personal time. Um, the burnout, I'll be honest, I just push through 90% of the time. But sometimes your body just needs a rest. Once in a while, personal day where you just do nothing other than what you want to do, like, is needed. I'm very bad at doing that still to this day. My
Yeah.
ex girlfriend can speak for that. I'm always on the phone. I'm always trying to build something. I'm always trying to do something. For example, I sleep for like 5 hours a night, maybe, uh,
Yeah.
because I have that regular chef gig, and then during my breaks there, I'm on the computer writing up quotes. I'm building menus for future weeks of meal prep. I'm reaching out to vendors and I'm reaching out to venues to try to build those relationships. So me, I I'm tired all the time, but I'm always pushing. So it doesn't stop. Like your podcast says, surviving the side hustle. We don't sleep. It just
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah, it's tough. There's definitely plenty of long hours and I know it's difficult. I know that you prioritize the family more so than I would even say for myself and a lot of other entrepreneurs and side hustlers too. I know specifically Tuesdays, right, are your kind of like day to connect with like your mom or girlfriend or whatever you kind of got going on, right? So is that Tuesday, is that like a hard stop like, all right, no, this is just things that I want to do. This is how I kind of operate. Or do you also blend in some days if it's like if you don't really have too much going on? Do you go in and do a little extra work on a Tuesday?
So Tuesdays are just happen to be my day off. So a lot of the time it's spending the mornings like doing the stuff I couldn't get done during the week. I
Mm-hmm.
have a busy Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't have time to build a menu. Well, Monday morning I'm popping up an hour early, or during my like little like hiatus break that I take at work, which is very rare. I'll pull out my laptop, do something. But if I can't get something fully done, or if I'm really trying to like chase down something that I really want to get done, that's a Tuesday morning. Normally, I take Tuesday afternoon to kind of just do whatever I want, and then I'll have dinner with my parents, or like going out to dinner with the guys tonight. I haven't seen one of my friends from California this year, so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for example, like this morning, I was writing menus. Um, I'm here with you now,
Yep.
and then I have a meeting at a hotel with a potential client before I go to dinner. So you know, it it's hard personal life wise, but you know, as we spoke about, relationships don't normally make it when you're doing what I do or what we do. Um, and that's one of the hardest things that it comes out of it. You know, bringing kids into this world right now would not be the ideal situation. Um, but future wise, I want this to do what it needs to do. I want it to run functionally. I want it to be able to support me and my future family, and I want to be able to say, I built this, I did this. I feed off of when people doubt what I do. Like when I first moved to California, everyone thought I was gonna be back in like 2 weeks. I was going for almost 10 years, and I graduated from culinary school. So when people doubt what I could do, that's where I actually thrive better.
Yeah, you get that motivation from that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let me ask you a little more on Fork and Delicious because it is so new. What kind of challenges are you encountering with the business itself, and how are you kind of handling some of those, if any, at the moment?
So I mean, the hardest part right now is trying to get that catering business. I really want to build that, but but then I'm also picking up a bunch of meal prep clients. I have 10 now, just meal
Nice.
prep. Um, but I mean, obviously, there's the goal is to have way more. But also having the space to cook, the time to my one day off. Normally, like we talked about, it was Tuesdays, but when I normally cook for 2 or 3 hours of those days to do all the meal prep for everybody. You know,
Mm.
plus shopping, plus picking up the stuff. So having enough hands to put everything together with me only, because I'm doing it by myself. I'm the only person who works for Fork and Delicious right now. My buddy
Hmm.
Connor, shout out to Connor. He he did a Labor Day weekend event for me and absolutely killed it. And um, I'll shoot those pictures over to you so you can see them. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to have the connections, but being by yourself and doing it all—that's one of the biggest challenges. Um,
Hmm.
my ex girlfriend did a couple events with me, and we slayed those events. It was fun. You know, teaching somebody how to cook while cooking while doing an event is fun. Um,
Multitasking at its finest, huh?
oh yeah, it's a blast though. It was a good time. But having enough hands myself to put everything into play and plug it all, that's one of the biggest challenges. But you know, the way I look at it is if I want to do it and I want this to get done, I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna do it right.
So let me ask you, because you got a lot of things going on at once with the business and everything. How do you prioritize what needs to get done when? Because I feel like I know for myself personally, there's like five different things that I'm trying to do at once, and then I'm like, oh, I should dedicate a little more time to this, and it can be difficult sometimes because you don't because they all benefit your business. So how do you choose what's the biggest priority?
If I could tell you how many notebooks I have with rewritten schedules and ideas of how I need to do things, it'd be insane. Right now, honestly, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. If I notice something's lacking in one area, I'll make sure that I make time for it. But that's gonna happen at like 1 in the morning when I have time. Um, but yeah, I mean, prioritizing is not the easiest thing right now. But like I said, I have all these notebooks with ideas, plans, schedules, like where I need to put all these ideas in. Like we just built merch, so I added that to the list. But now I got a spreadsheet where all these people are hitting me up, being like, "Let me get some merch." Um,
Yeah,
so it's then I got refocus. Yeah, merch is cool, but is that going to be what I want to be known for? No. So then I
right.
refocused, and biggest thing for me is taking that 5 minutes where I can reassess what I'm doing for that day. Because
Yeah.
in this industry, it's go, go, go in general, especially during my normal job. So, like, I have to be able to compartmentalize. Is that's the right way to say it? Is and figure out what's best for what time when.
hmm So, yeah, because one of my coaching pillars for when I'm working with entrepreneurs and people and is is really just giving yourself that time for the rest and reflection. And that's one thing that I've started doing a lot more in the recent years is literally scheduling time in my own calendar where I'm like, okay, I need to brainstorm what I want to see happening next. I got to picture myself into that next level with the success and everything else too. And then I got to figure out how to get there. So if
Yeah,
I don't ever allocate or give myself permission to do that, then it's just kind of turning in the back of my head and then I never get around to it. So I love that you at least are aware of spending at least a few minutes to kind of like, okay, how do I refocus? What is it that I want to be known for? And how do I move to that next level kind of thing? So that's awesome.
exactly. So I'm one of those people that I have a big picture, and I get so lost in the big picture sometimes that I have to bring myself back to where I am today. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I want to have like 3 or 4 venues that I'm the main caterer for, right? But how do I get there? That's the thing. It's like, how do I compartmentalize and get building those relationships? Is it going and dropping off food? Is it doing an event for free? Is it, just building those relationships with venues is the hardest thing, and that's one of the biggest things for Fork and Delicious is I want to be able to be the guy for the people. That's the best way that I say it to my friend Kayla. I'm like, I want to be the guy for the people. Simple. The guy of the people for the people.
So how do you start to develop those relationships with these venues and these other people? Are you just going to a venue and being like, hey, this is me, this is what I do, or are you kind of like, how do you even get involved in starting the relationship?
So that's a hard. It depends because each place is different. They all want the end goal. They want
Yeah,
to make money. Most of them.
yeah.
So it's unfortunately the world we live in is it's what can I do for you to make you money? You know what I mean?
hmm
That's a business owner. So I gotta go in there and think of it 2 different ways. I'm not gonna just show up at their places that think I'm crazy and they're not gonna go with it. So you gotta build that relationship. So reaching out on social media. Um, offering to do a open house for at cost, like, or even like my watch where I'm paying for it.
hmm
It's doing that kind of stuff, or even food drop offs. Or the biggest thing right now is leading off of that meal prep because that's a word of mouth thing. I'm not reaching out to any of these people asking if they want meal prep. Um, it's somebody recommended me to somebody else, and this is the
hmm
same thing. Once you get in that first venue, you have those people who will love your food and they'll go, well, hey, listen, I was at an event at, say, I don't know, this is called Venue One, and the food was phenomenal. The caterer was this guy. You guys got to think about having him here. And then that carries over once you build that reputation. But reaching out is like one of the hardest things to do because me and 30 other people could be offering the same thing. What makes me different than them? And that's the thing is where you build those personal relationships. So, you have a lot of it's meet and greets or, food shows. I haven't gotten into those yet. That's coming probably next summer. I'm going to
hmm
do a food show. Um, because it's all, unfortunately, this industry it's not always about how good you are. It's about who you know too.
mm
Uh,
Yeah.
that, that's a big factor nowadays. I mean, ever since COVID, I've been to so many terrible restaurants, and people are like, "Oh my god, I love this place." I'm like, I don't even know how this place is still around. So
See,
it's all about who you know. It really is. Unfortunately, that's a big part in this industry now.
yeah, I believe it. I mean, that's pretty much. I feel like that's pretty much everywhere, though. It's more about who you know than it is what you know. But like you said, it is really important. I mean, it doesn't really matter who you know if you one don't have a good product. So making sure that you have that and making sure that you tap into your own connections and are getting invited back. So like making sure that everything is lined up and you're doing the best that you can so that that word of mouth grows organically. So I love
and,
that.
and a lot of it's persistence and following up. I follow up with every single one of my clients each week for the meal prep every week.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll ask them. Say I drop off on Tuesday nights. I'll follow up with them on Wednesdays. How are your meals? Anything you don't like? Anything you want to change? You know, that way I could build a profile around them.
Yeah.
Like I've been cooking for
Yeah,
this one
that's
guy for
good.
6 weeks, and I know he doesn't like to reheat salmon because it tastes weird sometimes. I mean, let's face the facts. Reheated salmon is not the best thing in the world. So I've actually steered away from using salmon. I mean, and then I
I
have one
love
lady
reheated salmon.
who loves reheated salmon. Exactly. So, and I have a journal for each person. I have like 3 pages per person, and I write down every time I follow up with them. All right, they like this, they didn't like this, why? And then you build your own profile. So, like I said, I don't even know where they are. They're somewhere over here. I have like 3 stacks of notebooks going right now.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I got 3 on my desk right here, and I got another 2 over there. So same boat. And then like my notes on my phone is insane, and then my Google Drive with all my different Google Docs is just it gets to be a lot. There's a lot of thoughts going through all the time. It's
Yep.
tough to organize every once in a while. But dude, hey, I want to make sure that I'm curious of your time. So I know you. So you got the meal prepping. You got all this other things going on. What is like? What is the number one thing that you're looking for more people to kind of get involved with? Is it the meal prepping?
So I would love to get some more people on meal prep. But ultimately, I'd like to be able to book, events and catering. That's the biggest thing I want to get into right now. I want to be able to make sure people have the best experience, the best food, and one of the best possible moments that they can remember. I want them to eat
Mm-hmm.
the food and be like, "Holy crap! That reminds me of my grandma's food." So when it comes down to it, like I want to book like a bunch of holiday parties. I'm currently booking for December, January, and February right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be doing a Valentine's Day type thing. I haven't figured it out 100% yet, but that'll be announced pretty soon on Instagram. Um, and it more than likely it's going to be like a big date night or a pop up.
Awesome.
Uh, I'm
Well,
going to start doing some
what is
pop up.
what is your Instagram? Is that the best way to contact you if for meal prepping and events, or how do
So
people stay in contact?
there's Instagram at its_forkin delicious. And then there's the website, which is www.forkin-delicious.com. You can reach out to me either way on that. I don't have a separated phone, so my work phone is my house is my personal phone, so I don't really care. I'd rather have people reach out to me personally. One day, change maybe, but yeah, no, I treat everybody like family. So if you want to reach out to me, feel free. I'll get it done within 1 to 2 days, or if not, same day, because like I said, the hustle doesn't sleep. So
Of course, exactly. Um, so yeah, there you go, guys. Like Instagram, reach out to the website. Got to tap in, contact him for meal prepping or events. You got events and things going on too. Dude, again, thank you so much. Before I let you go, though, I want to ask you one last question. If you were to boil everything down, and if you were to give me your one piece of advice that would help me or anybody else survive the side hustle, what would that be?
don't sleep on the hustle.
Don't sleep, just keep going.
Don't sleep on the hustle. There's always money to be made, always time to have it. Now, don't burn yourself out, but make sure you have the time and you put in the effort.
Awesome. Dude, I love it. And thank you again so much for hopping on. Hopefully we can have you back on down the road a little bit and have a part 2
Yeah,
episode.
absolutely love to. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, dude. And we'll talk to you soon, man. Peace, peace, peace.
All right, perfect.